You have the ability to add your own stationery to your library if you don't see the stationery available in the system that you'd like to use. Now, before building stationery, you have to scan the stationery item, whether it's a prayer card or what have you, into your computer and save it as a JPEG file. Now, it's very important that your scan is as straight as possible. It may take you a time or two to get that set. Once you've got that all set up and it's good to go, what you do is you go into your system settings in the upper right-hand corner. Select Print Engine, and then Manage Stationery. And what we want to do is we're going to build a new stationery item. So you select New, and you'll get this pop-up. You'll have to name your item. I'm calling mine today's test card. Put in a description, and your vendor, and select Save. And now you've created the new stationery item. But at this point, you have to edit it. So select Edit. I'm going to collapse the menu here. It gives us just a bit more room to work. In this pop-up window, you put in all the pertinent information. So this was today's test card. These items with the exclamation marks, these are required information fields. You do have to fill those in. So you have to put the width in inches and height. The offset, left and top, should you find that once you've printed off your stationery item that the fields don't quite align properly on that card, you can set the offset here to make them shift over a bit or down a bit, what have you. You'll find that after you print it, because every printer is different and you're going to get different results. So you do have to, you may have to juggle that just a little bit. For the type, I'll make this a prayer card. The image is that file you just scanned into your system, which you'll just now have to go browse for. Select Browse. Should take you to your file system. Select the item you want. You'll see it's in here. Select Open, and we're set to go. The fold type, you will decide, obviously. You can see, just select the one as required. Just click on the radio button, whichever style you need. Ours has no fold. The Can Print Background option, if you're going to be printing to a piece of stationery with the background on it, leave this at No. If you are going to be printing the full card or item with the background, select Yes, because you do get that option when you're printing. Once everything's set, click on Save. The system will pull up your item, and there you see it. So this is our starting point to start doing some editing. Now to add fields to your stationery item, go to the Fields tab, click on that, and you'll see a list of all the fields in our system, almost 900 of them. That's a lot to scroll through when you're looking for a field. Basically, you're going to be looking for pertinent information in the way of, right here, we need the deceased name. So a quick way to get that is just to search. So I'll put in first name, and you'll see here in the list is deceased first name. Click on the field, drag it, and drop it where you want it. To resize a field, you can go here. Once your cursor goes like that, you'll see that you can adjust the size of the field. You can make it higher. You can grab it in the middle and shrink it back down a bit. So you see you can play with the size of the field and adjust it to what you need on your stationery. Now I have the deceased first name in there. I'll want to get the last name as well. So I'll go back over here and I'll just put in last. And here we have the deceased last name. Click on the field, drag it onto your stationery, and you're all set. Now you're probably going to want to format those because you don't want that basic font in there. If you click on the field, you go to the options at the top. And I'm going to select this font, and I'm going to make it 18. And you'll see that the size has increased there. We'll do the same with this. So those have matched up. Now you could spend a lot of time playing around trying to get these to align properly and set up just at the right spacing, but we have a quicker resolution to that. Click on the first field, hold your Control key, click on the second field, and then right click. And we want to group these together. So we select Group Together. Now this option comes up. It automatically drops a space in here, but you can put in punctuation if needed. If this was an address, with say the street address, city, what have you, you might want to put in a comma. Or if you have a couple items that you want to put in a slash between or a dash, you would select that punctuation there. You can actually add an extra space if you want. But as it stands right now, we just need one space, so we're going to save that. So we'll have the deceased first and last name come up there. I might want to move that up just a touch. And there we go. So now when we open this through a record, it's going to pull the deceased first and last name into that spot for us. Should you decide you need just a basic text field that you're going to be adding to each stationery item, there's a quick way to add a basic field. If you just put your cursor anywhere on your stationery item and right click, you can click Add Text. And that has dropped in a static text field for me. You'll want to right click again on that field and then edit. The label is the label of the field itself. We'll call this basic info. Any static text fields, you'll see the default value is set at static text. You want to delete that. Otherwise, when you pull up this stationery item through a record, it would actually stay on there static text. You don't want that. This is going to be the spot where you put in whatever you need. So we have our basic info field. We'll select Save. And now you'll see that has titled, the title rather has changed to basic info. And if you left this on this item, whenever you go to open it from a record, you'd be able to add something in there. To delete a field, as you see, just right click on it. You'll get the options, go down, select delete, and OK. Now we do have static fields that you may want to use in the system. And you select those through the drop down. You go down to static fields. And you'll see we have the static text field, which I just showed you how that works. It's the same thing. We can put in a prayer. If you have prayers in your system, you can just drag this onto the form. It'll automatically pull the prayer up for you. A static date, if you need to add a date on the fly, or you don't know what the date is going to be, or it's not saved in the record, you can bring this in and then put any date. Today's date field will pull today's date, obviously. Static time would be another one. If you don't know the exact time, put that in there and it'll let you pick the option as to what the time is to show on your stationery item. We also have custom fields available. If you've created any custom fields in your system, such as this one where I have time of disposition, for the funeral service, I'd put that on my form right there. Now if I put this information in my record, when I pull up this stationery item, it will put in that time of disposition for me. And we do have date of disposition full. These are all items that I've created in the system as custom fields. And you can use those on any stationery item just as you would any other regular field. Once you've added all your fields onto your item, you would then click Save. I often find though, once you've created the item, is to work on it through a record. That way it's actually pulling information from that record. You can see the format on your screen and get it set the way you like it and save it through there. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go to Main. I'll select a record. Go to Printing and Stationery, of course. Now you'll see all the stationery in here from all the different vendors. And of course, there's today's test card, but to give you an example, I did a little work on that one before. And once again, I'll collapse that menu to make it easier to see. And there you can see I've set this up. There are my combined first and last name fields for the deceased name. And here we have my service time, the actual date of disposition, the cemetery and the city location, clergy that's officiating. I also put on this stationery item, the deceased photo. When you bring this field in, it'll bring in the primary photo that you've selected in the record and automatically put it on your stationery item for you. I've also included the deceased date of birth and date of death, and a static field in the middle That shows you that the label is just a static field because I know what it is, but I wanted the default value to be 2. So you can see that every time I pull in that stationery item, it'll just put 2 in there for me. So it's automatic. And of course it will get the date of birth and the date of death from the record. Now, if you need to align fields, because things just don't look the way you like, I'll actually do a little change on these fields. You see how I have these fields centered? That's the text align center. If we take that off, they'll all align to the left now. Because what I want to show you is how this doesn't look very nice at the moment. But you can set the alignment very easily. Just click on the first field, hold your control key, click on the next until they're all selected, right click, and then we want to align left edge. And you can see how it popped them all over. Should you want to move them all at the same time, once again, click one field, hold the control key, click them all, and you'll see you can move them all around at the same time. I won't be leaving this like that because that alignment is just not the prettiest in the world, that's for sure. You can do the same if you need to align a row. Click on the first field, hold the control key, click on the second field, right click, and we want to align the top edge this time. So you see how that puts them both on the same line, perfectly straight across your stationery item. Of course, this being your stationery item, after you've used it a few times, you may want to make a change in the way it looks. You can come in and edit these at any time, save it. That change will take effect immediately, and it will be there for every record that you pull up and use this stationery item for. So if you have any questions whatsoever about the form's editing or creation, you can contact your project manager or send an email to support@frontrunner360.com.